According to the Public Policy Institute of California, as of March 2015, 112,300 people were imprisoned. This means that 112,300 people are having their voices silenced and their rights heavily compromised. With that being said, California should allow prisoners the right to vote while in prison. According to Jeff Manza, professor of sociology and political science, allowing prisoners to vote may strengthen their social ties and commitment to the common good. Although many believe that people bring this upon themselves by committing their crimes, we have to believe that they are still citizens no matter what cell they are confined to. Our rights, as given to us by the U.S. Constitution, should apply to everyone, no matter if they are in jail or not. By granting prisoners the right to vote while in prison, their rights will be restored and they will be able to actively take part in our community.
According to the California law, those who are within the state prison system or registered under felonies are not eligible to vote because of their criminal history. In an article published in the LA Times on May 7, 2014 by Paige St. John titled "Judge Says Ex-Cons Under Supervisions Have the Right to Vote," states that the California law forbids some 42,000 former prisoners and other felons from registering to vote. And it is a statistic conducted back in 2014, meaning that the number has only gone up. In debate.org, should prisoners be allowed to vote, it takes a look at both pros and cons. And we agree that though they have both committed a crime, majority of the individuals who are imprisoned or incarcerated both committed a minor or petty crimes. But that does not mean that they should have their civil rights taken away. Lastly, on felonvoting.procon.org, another article analyzing both pros and cons of incarcerated individuals states that though they are incarcerated, they still have the capacity to make a choice. They are not disabled, nor are they handicapped. They have the capacity to vote and make a choice just like everyone else. Now that the problem is put forth, we will take a look at the reason why prisoners cannot step into the voting booth.
According to an article published in the New York Times by Eric Almich entitled "California Voters to Decide Sending Fewer Criminals to Prison," proposes Proposition 47, which will lower the sentence of prisoners with minor crimes, which leads to less crowded jail cells and more people voting in California. In addition, a debate on prosandcons.org suggests that by allowing prisoners to vote, promoting legal responsible participation in society. Lastly, Reynolds Holding makes it clear that not allowing inmates to vote in California, we are missing out on 5.3 million votes in elections, which could lead to a change in the greater good, in his article entitled "Why Can't Felons Vote?" Now that we have examined the reasons why prisoners can't vote, we will look at the reasons on how to change this.
In order to cure the ill in our society, we as the current generation must change the laws that prevent citizens in prisons to vote. We shall begin by revisiting current policy to protect the laws that we as American citizens already naturally have, as well as providing more information to those prisoners who already have it. Prisoners who do not have the right to vote are already being stripped from their basic rights that should be protected under the 15th Amendment of the Constitution. According to the U.S. Constitution's 15th Amendment, it states, "The right of the citizens of the U.S. to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the U.S. or by any state of race, color, or condition of servitude." Prisoners who already have the right to vote are not being well informed about being able to do so and therefore do not take part on elections. According to an article by the Huffington Post by Lydia O'Connor titled "California's Former Prisoners Often Don't Know They Can Vote," states that prisoners wrongly believe that they have to go through a special process to get back their voting rights. Our prisoners don't know that they have the right to vote. They do not vote and are not well represented in the government. Prisoners who do not vote make huge impact on voter turnout and ballots. Therefore, felons should be allowed to vote for a better, well-represented government. Okay, according to an article published by Burlington Free Press on November 5, 2014 by the Associated Press, stated that in the state of Vermont, only 43.7% of the registered voters in the state participated by voting. We'll discuss the cure to the ill, and we will wrap it up and transition to the end.
Prisoners in the state of California should have the right to vote while in prison since they are still considered citizens of the United States. While in prison in the state of California, prisoners lose part of their civil rights, which is
what they are forbidden to have the right to vote. But it is stated in the California and the Constitution that American citizens should have the right to vote. If not all rights are removed, why should only the voting right be removed? Prisoners are in prison for obvious reasons by breaking laws, which does have an effect to why Californians fear harm to themselves. But that would not be possible since they are locked up and voting is only their way of speaking of what they believe in. While in prison, prisoners still have access to television and books just like outside of prison. So there should be no reason why they cannot vote. Every prisoner has their own different story to why they got to where they are, but their rights to voting should not be revoked due to a mistake. Removing that right can only lead to even more hatred, ignored laws and rules.